Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being with us tonight. This is Hamid Hassanzadeh from ArchiNet. This is our fourth session in AI Design Frontiers in collaboration with our partners Love That Design. Our guest today is Hamid Hassanzadeh, the founder and CEO of PA Academy. Vikita?
Hi, everyone. I'm Vikita Shahani, the Director of Strategy and Innovation at Love That Design. As Mash mentioned, our topic today with our lovely guest Hamid is on the evolution of architecture from hand drawing to computational design to AI integration. Architects and designers have always used the latest tools and technologies to visualize what's on their minds. These tools have ranged from basic sketches to very advanced hand drawings that could showcase the entire building all at once with all of its detail. In the mid-20th century, computer-aided design began reshaping architecture, driving a major paradigm shift through the 1980s and 1990s. So the field's obviously entering a very new chapter. Thank you, Hamid, once again for joining us today. It's over to you. If you could please share your screen and we can get started.
Of course. Well, thank you so much, Vikita and Mohammed, for the invitation. It's very honored to be here. I'm going to start my screen sharing. Thank you so much for the invitation again, and it's very good to be in here. We've been doing all these sessions for the last 5 years. So every weekend we have at least 1 or 2 of these kind of sessions. So we're super used to it, but it also gives us the ability to understand what's happening in the industry because we've been connecting with many pioneers, many companies, firms, or initiatives that have been pushing the boundaries of architecture and design and the way we do architecture, actually. It's been shifting drastically in the last couple of years. So this is a little bit of a long lecture. It's almost like 200 slides. I'm gonna try to talk about 45 or 50 minutes. I hope you can be on board with me until the end. And towards the end, if you have any questions, I would be very happy to answer some of them. Well, I'm going to speak about the evolution of architecture practice from hand drawing to computational design to AI. So as Vikita and Mohammed introduced me, I'm Hamid Hassanzadeh. I'm founder and CEO of PA Academy and ParametricArchitecture. I've been traveling and speaking to so many people, architects, pioneers, and trailblazers of our industry, asking about their ideas and their workflows, their careers, and how do they do design buildings and how they build actually. And over the past couple of years, I've been accumulating some knowledge about how all these tools and architecture practice in general has evolved, and I'm going to present it in this lecture. So I would like to start the lecture with a quote from Leonardo da Vinci, which says, "Nature is the source of all true knowledge. She has her own logic, her own laws. She has no effect without cause, nor invention without necessity." In this quote, Leonardo emphasizes on the importance of nature, understanding nature, and decoding it in order to solve the issues and problems that we are facing today. Because nature does it by itself, and we can to solve any problem, we have to go back to nature and decode it, understand it, decode it, and then try to solve our problems. I'm going to get back to this quote towards the end of the lecture as well at some point. Well, this is the world right now we're living in. These projects are actually built projects. They're not renders or they're not concept projects. They are built projects, and you can see from all scales, from fashion design to pavilions to large scale buildings, from different materials like plastic, wood, concrete, stone, or so many other structures that you can see with fluid forms, curvatures, highly structurally available buildings that you can go and explore. And these were the buildings that over a century ago, they were not quite possible to imagine, let alone build them. But with today's technologies, we're able to build them, visualize them, imagine them, and then build them. This lecture is divided into 4 main parts, where I'm going to talk about hand drawing era, computational design era, AI integration, and about what we do in PA and PA Academy. The hand drawing era, which is going to be a brief introduction of prehistory drawings and medievals, started almost like 40,000 years ago, where we have been drawing shapes, colors, lines on the caves 40,000 years ago to transfer a message, to talk about a possible threat or a message to other people. You can see all these great examples that you can find in the ancient caves and the wall paints. And fast forward to 10,000 years ago, 8,000 years ago, and you can see that one has quite developed into like a formations of these kind of characters in Egypt, almost like 4,000 years ago. That was quite accurate of the message that they were trying to say, that there's a war or something going on, this guy has something in their hand, or these kind of tablets, which is like 14,000 years ago or 16,000 years ago, conveying a possible threat over these kind of tablets. Of course, after some years, these tablets have been developed in Babylonians, in Elam, in India, in Middle East, Assyrians. They have used all sorts of technologies to use kind of these messages to transfer their ideas. And this continued until in the medieval era, we have started developing paintings with colors, which could showcase an architectural perspective and one-point perspective, and which clearly shows how the architectural spaces were formed in those days, or the families inside, what were they doing. You can see all these great paintings in Giovanni's paintings, and you can see the development of one-point perspective back then. And somewhere around Renaissance, we discovered more advanced paintings which could show architectural spaces in much more details. And even in the famous paintings of, with Mussolini or Raphael, you can see all these examples. And at a later stage, we also developed two-point perspective, which clearly shows how we can draw buildings actually with their facades, with their interiors, with their all sort of the dimensions and details that you want to imagine them. This continued until architectural prints as a transferring message method has been quite popular in architectural design workflows, that we started designing and drawing buildings before they get built, and this became the norm. And you can see and the great examples of this in the Andrea Palladio's or Brunelleschi's works back then in 15th, 16th century. And this continued like in around 16th, 17th, and 18th century. We developed it, and we developed it like drawing sections, all sort of the details that you can imagine, even zooming inside the details. And this was undetachable part of architecture back then. This continued until 18th century, 19th century, and this is somewhere in 1950s, around mid-20th centuries. This is the face of an architecture or design studio almost 80 years ago. You could think that the image on the right side is an AI generated image, which is not. It's a clear shot from a studio back then around mid 20th century. You can see how people were trying, or architects back then, trying to draw with their hands, with their that was the method, the tool that we had to transfer information, to talk about a message. That message was an architecture drawing, a plan, a section, an elevation. This, of course, continued until we had computers around, but in somewhere in parallel that those prints were going on, we were developing other type of tools like 2D drawings. And this also not started like 100 years ago. You can see the great examples of this in the Iranian mosques in Isfahan, in Shiraz, in Tehran, in Tabriz, also all over the Middle East and in Central Asia probably as well. This is a great examples of Karbandi in Isfahan by Ali Akbar Isfahani almost 8 centuries ago that they have developed. No grasshopper around, no rhino around, no computer around, not even like thoughts of them around, but they were able to calculate these kind of structures and build them. Fast forwarded to around 100 years ago, architects like Antonio Gaudi contributed a lot about the development of 2D drafting and 2D computational methods, let's say analog computing, material computing, with their experiments that they were doing. Antonio Gaudi invented these catenary arches, and he calculated all his structures based on these arches. And you can see that this is an upside down model where all these connected ropes together are an interconnected system, where if you change one of these weights, the hanging from one of these nodes from 1 kilogram to 2 kilogram, the entire system adapts and changes its shape to adapt to that new weight. So this is like a basic version of a computer system. This is like a basic version of a grasshopper system that works. And based on that, he was able to calculate all those complicated structures or complex structures back then. This is the upside down model of one of his churches that he was working on, probably on La Sagrada Familia or Antonio Goel. And you can see that this is again the same kind of system that he was trying to do, calculate all these structures based on the upside down models. This is called material computing, analog computing. And this is a simple example of what we're trying to do in the kangaroo environment in Grasshopper, which is basically simulating gravity based on the weights that you're applying to your system. This is upside down model, and it's not exactly the same model that Antonio Gaudi was working on, but this is a good representation to show how he was thinking. And then he created these kind of incredible masterpieces in his portfolio, and even 100 years after his death, these buildings are not completed yet, and we're trying to decipher how he was thinking, and we can analyze it, and we can apply it, we can decode it, and then we can apply it as the way he was thinking with the high-end technologies like 3D printing, and now they're figuring it out. And actually, the head of computational design at La Sagrada Familia Foundation just texted me on LinkedIn today that he wants to present at PA Academy. Probably we will bring him for a great lecture over this great structure. And you can see all these structures which has great columns. One column comes up until here, and this node divides into the multiple color, and it goes up from this node, it divides into multiple columns as well. You can see it's like a tree-like structure, goes up and holds that ceiling above it. This is quite a complex task to calculate, to visualize, and also to build it. So, but with those kind of tools, like computational tools, they can do it. Another great architect and engineer who contributed a lot into this industry is Frei Otto. which is passed away in 2015, and a few months before passing away, he received the Pritzker Prize in Architecture. And what basically Fraiotto was doing was decoding the nature. Back to my first quote, like decoding nature. He was experimenting. I hope you have the sound as well. If not, I can reshare my screen by opening the sound option. Okay. And basically what he was trying to do was experiment with soap bubbles. Soap bubbles have very sensitive minimal surface, and in order to stay stable, to become stable, they have to reduce their surface, and that creates a great shape or a great structure inside them. So what Fraiotto was doing was experimenting with these, trying to find out the best forms, to calculate the best forms where he could build the structures in the physical world. And there was no grasshopper around, there was no rhino around, there was no computational tools around. What they had back then was manual calculation, and they created incredible structures after doing these kind of experiments. So this is called material computing. This is called analog computing that we should be aware of. Where does the computational design come from? Where does parametric design come from? Based on all these studies that we have done almost like 60, 70 years ago. And the final result is the great structures that he did. German Pavilion in Montreal, Quebec in 1967, or Munich Olympic Stadium in Germany in 1972 are the results of these kind of studies and experiments. Of course, Luigi Moretti is one of the first people who, actually he is the first person who coined the term parametric architecture. So what Luigi Moretti was doing was exploring the possibilities of designing with parameters. Based on 19 parameters in this project, he designed a stadium. Those parameters were the view of spectators to the stadium field, based on the budget, based on the amount of concrete could be used to reduce it to the minimum, based on the beauty or the number of the people as spectators could this structure hold. And based on those structures, he designed a stadium. He was doing so much of these works that he, in 1967, he hosted, if I'm not wrong, he hosted an exhibition called Parametric Architecture, and he presented all these works in there. And he was the first person to coin that term. Felix Candela was another genius architect, engineer who worked on minimal surfaces like these kind of structures, oceanographic. And you see these concrete surfaces, these are thin shell structures with unreinforced concrete. There's no bars inside them, there are unreinforced concrete, and they have been building these kind of structures 70 years ago. It's incredible. And he contributed a lot into the engineering industry of calculating of these kind of minimal forms, thin shell structures that could be built without reinforced concrete. 2D drafting era almost emerged as by emergence of computers into the industry, and people like Yvonne Sutherland was the first people who invented somehow like a basic version of AutoCAD back then in 1963. Sketchpad was his invention, but it was very, very expensive and also quite basic in terms of how limited it was you can use it. And back then in MIT, the machine that he invented was a screen, and it has a pen And with that pen, you could just draw simple stuff, simple geometries, and it would just fix it for you. You could move them around. The very basic versions of AutoCAD. It was $3 million back then, that software. It was quite expensive. Pierre Bezier is another engineer who invested a lot of his time to work on NURBS curve. If you have worked with 3D Max software, with Rhino, with Maya, definitely you have come to see the NURBS curve option, Bezier curves option, or at the later stage, NURBS curve or parametric curves, and then translated into NURBS surfaces as well. Pierre Bezier was an engineer and Renault car company. Back then, when they wanted to build cars, they had a sample that they would go and measure each time they wanted to build a new car. So people like Pierre Bezier came that, hey, we could just invent the type of the curves and we could store those information in the computer environment as a sample model. And whenever we go build a new car, we can go and measure those that we have stored in the computer. And the management of a Renault company says, back then in 1971, hey, is there any computer around? He says, no. And he says, if your work was good enough, Americans would have invented it first. Very big mistake. And computers came along. He was disappointed, of course. Computers came along and they started implementing his calculations into computer environment to achieve the best curves, to achieve the curves that could be calculated. Like right now in computer, you can draw any curve and it could be translated to a rationalized curve with his methods. So that's his contribution to our industry. And from there, we had the parametric curves, we had the NURBS curves, we had the NURBS surfaces at the later stage. Those sub-D stuff that you are doing in Rhino now is based on his researches that he did 60 years ago. So we owe a lot. The later stage after the 2D modeling was 3D modeling, where we started. There are, of course, so many softwares, so many engineers who invested a lot of their time, and they worth all mentioning in here, but since the list is huge, so the time of lecture is also limited, we have to chop off some of those names and then go to focus a little bit more into architecture. 3D modeling era in architecture started almost like around 80s, 90s, and also with the experimentations of people like Greg Lynn, like Frank Gehry. Greg Lynn and back then in Columbia University with a bunch of other students, with Bernard Tschumi, and they experimented of designing with coding, designing with 3D modeling, and the result was these kind of parametric geometries that they built. And of course, this is like built a fountain, very famous fountain from Greg Lynn's work, and also in the industry as well, that he used custom-made versions of coding to create this parametric design modeling, which was good, but it was not enough. But they were experimenting all sort of the things. It was mostly in theory rather than just entering into the industry as a built work. That's the point where architects like Frank Gehry come along, and they show they wanted to be, of course, built. Frank Gehry wanted to build more complex structures. He loved fish structures. Then he wanted to build structures like inspired by the body of the fish. And they were quite hard to imagine, calculate, and also to build. So what he does, back then there was a CATIA company, CATIA software developed around 80s. He calls them and he says, hey, I want to build this fish structure. Back then CATIA company was used in aerospace industry, and they were designing airplanes. And they answer him, hey, we're not in the fish business, we're in a bird business. We're building birds, not fishes. And they hang out. And he gets disappointed, but he continues calling with a bunch of networks that he could find. He brings someone from CATIA company to use CATIA in his architecture office. And then the rest is the history, the creation of these kind of incredible structures, which you see all these surfaces have three-dimensional curvatures, which was incredibly hard thing to do in 2D softwares or in any other hand drawings back then. But when he brings that CATIA guy into the office, definitely he's able to do those stuff, and it opens up the floodgates of the usage of 3D modeling softwares into architecture. Then he also builds the Gary Technologies company, which could benefit into his own, but also offer those technologies into other architecture companies industry. You can see some of his sketches and also the CATIA model that they were trying to build back then. Design computation era, this continued. The 3D modeling era continued until somewhere around 2005, 6. We started complaining about, hey, it's just a 3D modeling. We don't have much data over it. We don't have much power to control it. So that's where somewhere around 2005, 6, 7, we started developing Grasshopper. Rhino was a 3D modeling software, again, using of all these parametric curves, parametric design methods like NURBS curve, NURBS surfaces, but it was not quite easy to control because those parameters you were entering, they were limited to control until the end of the stage, until the end stage of your design. So David Rattan, together at Bob McNeil's office, they developed Grasshopper 3D software, which is in the left side is the scripting tool, and the right side is the 3D modeling environment of it. Without drawing a single line, a single dot, a single surface or geometry, you can code it in the script, which enabled architects to hold all these parameters in their hands until the end of design. Simultaneously, they could change any parameters in here in any part of the design, and they could see the result change simultaneously on the screen. Architects were mind blown by this. They were just gone crazy, creating incredibly hard structures with tectonics, with massive, elements, massive number of elements inside, with rapid changes, which I'm going to show you in this lecture, a bunch of examples that were incredibly hard to imagine, let alone build them. You can see in this screen, the right side is Grasshopper and the left side is Rhino screen. And that guy, this guy, Gabriel Perez, a guy from YouTube, just designed this without drawing a single line. It was all scripted and coded in the computer environment. This was another level of design for architects. These scripts could go deeper like this, could go more deeper like this, and even more crazy than this. 2 days ago, we published an article on parametric architecture. The most complicated script on Grasshopper. It continued 1,200 nodes. These are those ropes that you can see in here, lines. These are nodes. Connects components to other components. The screen is almost black because of those components. So 1,200. They could go as complicated as this. Then we started developing Dynamo for Revit, which does the same job that Grasshopper does for Rhino. So visual scripting tool, which could integrate to Revit to calculate so many stuff, which has also parametric design capabilities. Those codes, scripts could shown like this, and they could go more complex like this and like this. So then the creation of these kind of tools allowed architects to build these kind of structures. You can see how beautiful they are. Beauty is like a subjective, but you can see how hard these are to build. Like this tower has 2,500 individual panels that could not be even visualized or designed, let alone build it. This this Galaxia project by Mamamani had thousands of unique elements inside it. So you can imagine how hard this is to sit and calculate all those one by analog computing. But with Grasshopper, with Rhino, it would be incredible. That's why architects gone crazy building fascinating structures were not possible to do built before. For example, this Ada structure, Janie Sabin's studio, or Daedalus Pavilion by AI built and Zaha Hadid Architects, or ETH Zurich's Block Research Group pavilions and Armadillo pavilions and Venice Architecture Biennale are great examples of this. Then it comes to the era of building and frame information modeling. Since we have all these tools, we can connect all of them together. It created an ecosystem of softwares and apps interconnected to each other, where you could just see stuff in here, you can calculate in here, you can transfer data from here to Excel sheets. From Excel sheet, you can visualize those data, you can send them back, you can back and forth communication with all these tools have been created. This ecosystem just feeds into your design workflows, renders, plans, sections, numbers. You could store all sorts of information into those softwares. You could start collaborating with, I'm going to talk about BIM 2.0 as well, but you can start collaborating with other disciplines, like engineers, structural engineers, like mechanical engineers. In the same file, you could see what's happening inside this roof that you want the details to be changed. You could collaborate with other disciplines in the same file. This created like a general topic of much broader topic of digital twins, where creating those kind of digital twins has become more important than building itself, because you could monitor the entire life cycle of building. You could see the people layer of it. You could see the physical assets that building could hold in itself. You can see the entire energy consumption of building while monitoring it in the virtual space. And this took us a little bit further to see a smart building section with the system architecture, where I could plug my I could plug my car into my house to be charged. I could see how those sun panels could get energy to my house to power my bike, my car, and this, or watch my house if the refrigerator has everything inside or not. This created an ecosystem where we call now smart building. And these are all because of those tools, because of those data that we could transfer into other softwares. This has led us to reach to a point, hey, now we can design complex structures, but what about building? What about fabrication? Who's going to build these stuff? How to build these stuff? That's where the fabrication started to catch up as well. We started developing 3D printing tools, robots that could print for us houses, like in concrete, actually, where we could live inside them. We started deploying other kind of machines, like robots, like drones, to build for us. Not practically building these days, but they have the capability of building. We've seen great examples of drones cleaning, doing all sort of the things these days. And also they can build, where ITKE and ICD in Stuttgart use drones and robots to build pavilions. This could scale into architecture scale as well, livable architectural scale, or building in other planets. These pavilions are great examples of those kind of collaborations between different type of robots that we could build, and the examples of 3D printed structures that have been built actually, and people are living inside it. 3D printing has its own, of course, difficulties. They can print vertically, not horizontally, but there are technologies are being developed. We will be there as well someday, hopefully. And these are some of the solutions for those problems, not printing all vertically, but in the shape of domes, where we could build these kind of structures. This is the example of WASP with Maria Coinsila. They built these kind of housing projects. Or we could just build in other planets, send robots to build them, and then we could send humans afterwards. They built the same version of the house in US. AI Space Factory has built it, and you can Airbnb in it. You see Mars, Earth, or you could, why just stop there? We could just build on other planets like Moon and send robots to get the materials from Moon and just start building there. And then when we arrive, the houses are ready, the shelters are ready for humans. Or just building amazing kind of pavilions that the Very Many and Mark Furness is doing. These pavilions are stripes where you could just CNC mill them, then connect them into each other to create these incredible fun structures. Or just use HoloLenses to visualize all these structures and use these kind of virtual reality goggles to steam bend these wooden elements based on the virtual reality you see in those HoloLenses. These are incredible methods that you can use, for example, those HoloLenses to bricklay all elements in the same places. You can see their shapes and geometries. Or you can build even a smaller scale chairs where the structure in the darker area is harder to hold your skeleton, but structures in the left area are much less dense because they don't have structural elements right there. You could just with parametric design give iterations to all these kind of chairs and start building them from scratch by printing them. Or you could just design inside virtual reality, and even without doing any 2D work, you could just send it to fabrication, like this chair, Oyster Chair by Arturo Tedeschi. So with all these developments, where we have come, until which point we have come from, before 2022, before 2018, what's happening in the world were these actually. Well, what about AI? I'm not going to talk about what is AI actually, because you all know, you hear a lot in the industry, but I will just a little bit focus on how AI generates images and how understand things. Back then, like in 2015, 16, engineers found a way where they could implement these hidden layers and feed a lot of information like birds or images into it and train them that this is a bird word. Then engineers came up with the idea that, hey, what if we reverse this whole process? We type bird and then get the image. And it worked. It worked. It was like unbelievable, but it worked. Then they definitely furthered these technologies. They created a generator and discriminator, where generator was hallucinating images based on like trillions and trillions of data that has been fed into it, hallucinating images every second, like 60,000 times, a million times, and then discriminator was just say this is the truth, this is not, this is true, this is not, like giving it real or fake analysis, and this would make him getting closer to the final outcome of what you want. This happened until somewhere around 2016, 18, 17, 18. We had the very basic versions of these hallucinations. This is a pose invariant method version that they wanted to see a dog as a result, but out of dog, they just created a lot of other things. There's just only not dog inside. I can see a lighthouse. I can see all sort of animals in here, but no, this is a hallucination. Then Mario Kalingan's AI art won art award, which created a lot of controversy, or the early access of Kupi Mibilao and Daniel Bolojan into DALI software, where they fed a lot of Kupi Mibilao works into the system to receive the same type of architecture that Wolfprix was doing. Or the same example applies for Rafi Canadol with DALI 2. They fed a lot of Zahidid architects' works into the system. These are back in 2022. There was no Midjourney around, I guess, at the beginning of 2022. They were, of course, developing, not... but you can see how they are similar to Zahidid architects' works. But what are some of those tools that we can use? This is a very important section I want you to remember. Because there are so many tools out there, it's very easy to get lost. One of the basic tools that was implementing hidden layers and, let's say, machine learning into their system was Launchbox, a plugin to Grasshopper, which was great, and they did a lot of work to kind of design these kind of panels and give you suggestions of which panels were great. It was 2018 that they did this, so these are one of the basic, one of the first versions of AI tools that they had. There are tools like LookX, where you do image generation based on the existing data that you can fit into this. LookX is doing some sort of documentation as well. It helps you in the documentation side as well. There's Hypar, where you type like a prompt. This video that I have is almost like from a year and a half ago, but they have developed it significantly over a year and a half ago, where you could prompt and you could receive the same prompt in three-dimensional geometry, which is incredible. It's incredible. There's tools like Finch 3D, you all know about. They are creating these kind of adaptive forms, adaptive plans, environments. It's incredible. Jasper is a very inspiring architect as well. He developed this tool. It's a very useful tool around. Snapshot has become a long way, and since 2017 they've been developing this tool, which is a great tool for an all-in-one packed tool. So these are the tools that are somehow cloud-based, and that we are entering in a world of building information modeling 2.0, the second version, where you no longer are required to download softwares into your computer, but it will be inside your browser calculating and doing stuff for you. ArcCool is another great example of these tools that are emerging into the industry. These are new tools. You haven't heard of them. They're around for the last 2 years or 1 year. So they have a long way to go to prove themselves into architecture community, but they're promising. After like going and working with 3ds Max, or going and working with AutoCAD, Revit, and these kind of stuff, these guys are bold and they're offering a lot of opportunities for us. Or Giraffe is a great tool, mapping, modeling, analytics, all sort of the tools, all sort of the things that you need in one place. Or Speckle just gives you the opportunity to work with the entire team, or share files in cloud with other teams as well. Or Spacio, another great software that is emerging into architecture with 3D models, with all sort of layouts, analysis, real-time analysis, user-friendly interface. These are great tools. Conic is very cool tool as well. Just check their website. You can see the videos that they've made. You can collaboratively work in the same environment. As I'm saying, these are cloud-based tools, and like any other subscription software, they have this pricing inside their website, probably $10 or $15 per user per month. Or Motif. you can see client is here, architect, engineer is here, architect is here, and they can see the same file and in a more collaborative way continue working on this file. And you can see they have these kind of AutoCAD-like drawing tools as well. All sort of drawing tools. I'm just showing you the ones that are on the screen. Architecture draws you plans, and it is somehow like a intelligent system. This video is again from 2 years ago. They have developed significantly. Make it just draws you plans in a much more better way. Autodesk Forma, incredible tool. Just try to use it. Get floor plans, turns the sketches into plans, like rendered plans. D5 Render, a promising rendering tool, replacing Chaos Group and V-Ray and Corona and all sort of renders that you're seeing. They're very bold as well. They have implemented this AI as well. Actually, we have a free workshop with D5 next month. So if you're interested, just go to pacademy.com. It's going to be a 5-hour workshop. If it's a free to attend, we're going to do together. It's a very incredible tool. Crea AI, you know them. They have incredible video making and also a visualization tool. It's an AI system. V-Ray is enhancing because they didn't want to fall behind. Of course, V-Ray AI Enhancer is a great tool as well. You can see how they decrease the noises and increase the quality. Midjourney, our beloved AI system, AI software, and Midjourney 7, like these creating these kind of sketching structures, very awesome. Last week we did a workshop with Rolando and PA Academy, dynamic sketching, where he taught all these tools. It was incredible, mind-blowing for an architect. You see, you need these tools to present your ideas creatively. Of course, it's not the whole architecture, but they are helping you to present creatively these days. Let me just play that video again. I'll just go a bit faster. Stable diffusion is incredible. With Comfy UI, it becomes much more incredible as well, where you have more control of your tool. We don't want, architects started saying, hey, we don't want black boxes. We want more control. And Comfy UI is there. It's like a parametric design with AI. Kyber video generations. Again, these videos are from 2 years ago. They've developed significantly. Runway is incredible tool. Architects are using a lot of these video makings. The reason the video is important in AI, because they can 360 the video and then they can 3D model it, turn it into a 3D modeling. That's very important to understand. The reason video are important after image generation, because while you generated this image, you can go around it like a video. AI can create that scene for you. When the video is created from the around of the building that is visualized in image, then you can make a 3D model. How fascinating is that? Like 3D modeling becomes the next version of AI, the next stage of AI in architecture, where image, like a sketch, render image, and then you can video it around it, and then out of video you can make a 3D modeling. Amazing. And so what is the future of architecture, AI in architecture? There's a saying in automotive industry that Toby Walsh says, we won't be allowed to drive cars anymore and we will not notice or even care. That's somehow a true analogy because the insurance companies will charge more for the manual or automated cars rather than self-driving cars, and without any notice you will just move to a self-driving car even without caring because you're going to pay less for insurance. And Neil Leach has the same analogy for architecture. We won't be allowed to design buildings anymore and we will not even notice or even care. That he's saying, I don't believe in that. I believe to ask this question, like, what will be the role of architects and designers in the future? Does this mean really game over? Did we ever think wrong? Like, we wanted to do design system, we wanted AI systems to do our laundries and dishes so we could have more time into art, literature, and writing and all sorts of those things. Now AI is doing all sort of art, literature, and writings for us. So what is the use case of us? And are we in the wrong way? Will we be able to win races, competitions, battles, and get projects without using AI or these advanced tools? I doubt it. Even if like AI systems developed significantly, we still, as humans, love to compete with each other. We still love to appreciate each other. We love to compete to see who's faster, who goes higher, who does better. We have machines that go faster as cars, planes that go higher, but we still love to cheer each other and to see which human does that, and we love it. I don't think we're going to be irrelevant in the future. We're going to be more powerful with the AI tools, but there are definitely ethical considerations and challenges that you have to consider. AI brings job loss, copyright issues, algorithmic bias, data privacy, data security, data transparency, decision making, and all sort of the problems. And you can see the examples of it in Asana, for example, by a report in 2023, 29% of their staff was replaced by AI systems, and this was 2023. In 2025, everything has changed drastically. Or I don't know if I wanted to live in a city that every measure of me, every action of me is being measured, fed into the data, and then it's being used against myself. Is this a city that I want to live in? I don't think so. I don't want to live in a city that all the things that I do in my private life, in my public life, that is being measured. I don't like it. Or the feedback loop where you just feed the AI system with the wrong information, it gives you the same result or the wrong results. These are the similar works that have been generated by our student and one of the famous AI designers. Or it can't just draw you things that doesn't exist on the internet, like ask him to draw an image of 6:25 p.m. watch. It can't do because all the watches on the internet images show that 10 past 10. It can't do that. Or the wine, glass of wine with full glass of wine, it can't draw it because all the images on the internet have wine. It can't draw, and this brings us to the Galileo test that Elon Musk was saying it back then, which says, imagine you have an AI system in the Galileo era, and he basically you feed these information to AI that Earth is in the center and sun goes around the Earth, and AI is giving those kind of information for you. This will create like a discriminatory practice, and architects should be very, very sensitive, and everyone, not only architects, should be very sensitive about these kind of topics because they could create designs that just undermines the values of minority communities. That's very, very important things to consider. So what are the things that we need to change in architecture education to deal with these kind of stuff? There's a curricular update that is required, access and equity to these kind of tools, preparing for unseen consequences. Frequent courses, frequent training is the answer. That's why PA Academy is doing ethics courses, teach on the uses of ethics, teach ethics on the uses of these AI systems, and interdisciplinary learning from other industries and see what they are dealing with. I would suggest to read these kind of books called Architecture Ethics by Thomas Fisher, and also The Ethics of Architecture by Mark Kingwell, which are really, really helpful books. Let's study art and literature. Don't forget about art and literature, because this is a mistake just to rely on Midjourney to give you the best results. Please study art and literature. It will just, the history of art, literature, and architecture, it will widen your perspective on what kind of design you want out of Midjourney. Definitely, period. Don't forget about these. Don't forget about the beauty factor or beauty feature in architecture. It's very undermined, but it is very important that you have to create a beautiful architecture. If your building is not beautiful, don't practice. That's a very bold statement, but you have to create beautiful architecture. You have to give good experience to your users. The users of that building, that structure, should enjoy that piece of space. So you have to give good experience. You have to not forget about the scale, not forget about the function, balance. I want to repeat all these again and again to all the community. Don't forget about the scale, function, balance, unity, variety, harmony, materials, proportions, context, culture, spatial organization, durability and sustainability, cultural appropriateness, human-centric design, and also climate change aspects. Don't forget about these. So the whole point of this lecture was to draw you an image of where we started to come from, the architecture practice, the design practice, and where we are headed with the current tools. I introduced you the history, the tools, computational, AI, and the tools that could be used, and also a little bit of the ethics. So we built PA to showcase the power of these tools. PA started on Instagram in 2016 with 0 followers. Then we built a community of 1.5 million followers on Instagram only, showcasing the usage of these kind of advanced tools in architecture, which clearly changes the way we can practice, the way we can think about architectural spaces, the way we can do practice. Our main focus was we turned out to be the world's most renowned avant-garde architecture platform, focusing on computational design, parametric design, and AI tools. And these tools are changing the AEC and creative industries. Today, our platform passes over 20 million people on the internet every month. We talk to different type of architects, asking their ideas, like pioneering architects, like you can see on this list. We built PA Academy to teach these tools, and PA Academy in the last 5 years became the center point of our activities, where we are offering these kind of courses where you could get yourself attached into these AI tools, computational tools. Now, all the tools that I showcased in here in this presentation are a lot of tools, and there are a lot of tools and plugins that you don't know about. But we try to simplify it, because it's very easy to lost these days, to get lost. It's very easy to find a way to dive or swim in this ocean of tools. Don't get lost in this kind of the amount of the tools that are out there. So we do these kind of courses, workshops every weekend one workshop at least to teach you basically how to use these tools. This is our website that we built for it. It's a great tool that shows always upcoming workshops, and you can attend easily. It's a great product to just attend any workshop. For example, people like Tim Fu, like Carlos Banion, like Arturo Tedeschi, like Arthur Mamamani. And these are great people who are trailblazers of the industry, and they are showing us the ways how we can use these tools incredibly. This is a discount code like ArchiNet 40 that you can use to join any workshop in our platform, active until the end of the month. So 40% discount for the community who joined this talk today. There are some books that I would love to introduce you. These are some of the great books that I suggest if you want to dive deep into the computational design, parametric design, digital fabrication. Incredible books. If you want to know more about AI and generally the future of AI and where we are headed to, read the triple books of Ray Kurzweil about singularity. Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark is incredible book that you have to read. Shows incredible insights about future of humanity and AI technology. Artificial Intelligence for Dummies, incredible book. And also robot-proof higher education in the age of artificial intelligence. I built PA Academy after reading this book. So you can understand now how important this book for me is. I can't emphasize more on it. And then we also do sometimes publish our books as well. You can find it on Parametric Architecture website. And thank you. A little over 1 hour, close to 1 hour, but I appreciate you for staying on board. If you have any questions out of these 200 slides, just let me know. Thank you, Miss Malati. These tools are not free, but you can definitely have a subscription. Some of them are free, some of them are not. So let me see if there's any Q&A box I can check. Is there any questions, guys?
Yes, hi. So Hamid, thank you again. Sorry, my mic went out a little bit and back again. And
That's
yeah,
totally fine. It's
yeah,
okay.
sorry. So thank you again for this amazing lecture. The past hour was quite fast for me, and I bet everyone had the same feeling. It was very informative, and you covered all the aspects of it. So we will start with a few questions, and
Sure.
one of the first important questions about the lectures and the courses that you are doing. So we share the link of PA Academy. I don't know if there is any other links. If you would share it in the chat, that would be cool.
Of course, I will share the link as well. Just paacademy.com with double A. That's the code basically.
Okay,
that's
so
their website.
Yeah, so we will start with the questions that we have.
For sure.
So there's a question from Mariam. Climate change became a big fat joke when all wars had to begin in the past few years around various regions. This was a comment, I think. So there is a question from Sana Hani. Are we moving towards the development of more specialized fields within architecture education to address the growing complexity of design tools, from conceptualization to fabrication and the multi-layered nature of design process?
Definitely. That's a very good question because the architecture discipline is being fragmented into different disciplines as well. It's not dying, it's being separated into subcategories as well. So right now, for example, I will give you an example. Right now, the people who I talk in the fabrication part, digital fabrication, they're saying, I need an architect who knows about robots. I need an architect who knows about development because they want an architecture taste in their fabrication. Or people mostly in architecture office saying to me like, we need an architect who knows how AI works. We need an architect who knows how building information modeling works. Or we need an architect who could code, basically. These are very, very important topics that we need to understand, that architecture is now becoming very multidisciplinary. There are so many subcategories opening inside our practice. We don't need to go just do practicing architecture. That's probably 1% of the whole industry, but there are so many other occasions, other disciplines that are integrating to architecture, that we have to be aware of them. Coding, writing, fabrication, robots, AI, data management, material inventions. These are very important topics that these architects need to have their hands on, because up until 2020, we were using all the tools that engineers built for us. We were misusing them. We were misusing 3ds Max. 3ds Max is not an architecture software. Maya is not an architecture software. Rhino is not an architecture software. ArchiCAD, maybe. Revit, maybe. Revit architecture, yes. Revit, then they developed architecture part. So you have to keep this in mind. Architects always go and explore and find out, discover, and bring things to architecture, like the ones that Frank Gehry did, like the ones that Antonio Gaudi did, or Ali Akbar Isfahani did, or all those architects that I mentioned during the lecture, they are explorers of other disciplines where they could go explore and bring into the architecture profession. That world is almost ending, because I, as an architect, now I can build a platform where is dedicated only for architects. That is an educational platform. Architects now come together, build softwares for architects like Finch 3D, like SnapTruth, like Rayon, like Cubic or Giraffe. These are all tools built by architects for architects. And this is the beauty of it. Now that narrative is being changed, that we are dependent on engineers. Yes, we are dependent on engineers, but some architects are solving it and creating tools for us. And we can be, that our practice can be much more effective and much more performance-driven practice as well, because we were using those tools for so long time, and now these tools are becoming emerging to make our workflows much easier and faster.
Yeah, you're talking about plenty of new tools, and in every day there is a new application or a new tool about AI, etc. There is a question from Abdulaziz: how do I know which tool is the optimal for my work or my problem or my idea? Especially, do we need to try each one to figure out?
First of all, I would suggest to just, this looks like a, tasting a
Yes.
food without,
Exactly.
without knowing what is the taste actually.
Yes.
So what I would suggest is, first of all, know what you want. What do you want from the tool? You want them to draw you 3D modeling, or draw you an image, or you want them to draw you anything. And based on that tool, you can definitely find a relevant tool that is out there. For example, if you come to our website, you can see all these softwares that are in architecture. If you come here for Midjourney, for example, you can see all the Midjourney workshops that are out there in different scales, in different methods, in fashion, in body wearables, and pavilion style, and you can explore these kind of stuff. And with just $100 workshop, you can see how that architect is using that tool, and you can start just implementing right away with 1 8-hour workshop, 1 weekend. That's the accessibility that we're trying to bring. So right now, you don't need to go and get lost on YouTube videos who teaches it best, that you can find that tool and learn from them. There's a unified platform that teaches you all these tools from the best instructors, from the very structured level, very structured, great structured courses, and you can just upskill yourselves. And we have many students that are 50, 60 years old, architects working in companies, and all their lives they have used AutoCAD, and now they're trying to catch up. They're trying to, because going from AutoCAD to Revit was incredibly hard. Really, really hard, because Revit is a very complex software. But going from AutoCAD to Midjourney, very easy. Going from AutoCAD to Rayon, very easy. Going from AutoCAD to Speckle, very easy. So what I'm trying to tell is that tool barrier is going away somehow with AI. And it's very important to understand this, that before there was a tool barrier that you can't code, you can't understand Revit, you can't calculate on SAP, you can't do this, that tool barrier is going away because the tools are becoming more collaborative, are becoming more easier to use, are becoming more user-friendly, not the screen of Maya, not the screen of Rhino, not the screen of 3ds Max, not the V-Ray rendering details that you have to calculate thousands of irradiance mappers or all sort of the details to have a clear render. Those are going away, and AI is helping for that.
Yeah. Many AI tools still reflect westernized design standards. How can we ensure that AI embeds cultural identity and regional values?
Yes, that's a very good question that I tried to answer in my lecture, that the needs of minority groups or the groups that don't have much information on the internet could be undermined. And that's the Galileo test that Elon Musk was talking about. That's the wrong information that watch can't be designed by ChatGPT or Midjourney. It can't show like 625, 623 or any hour other than 10 past 10. Because the information on the internet are showing that, and AI systems are fed from the information on the internet. To make the best use case of AI regarding to your local context needs, you have to train it by yourself. You have to do that human touch. You have to do that human experience that you have gained over the years with getting trained as an architect, connecting to that community, talking to that community, talking to the needs of clients. That's where architects' role come in place. You can't just rely on AI. It gives you visuals. It doesn't understand whether that visual is suitable for that contextual aspect or not. So it's for you to decide it. It's for you to judge it, and for you to see whether the information it gives for you is wrong, suitable for that place or not. So I fully I suggest everyone to accept AI until like 60-70%. Always double check the information, triple check the information. Always do that human touch for yourself. Keep that final design at least 30-40% for yourself. Don't just rely on AI. So that would just solve your issues until we have a very, very big AGI kind of stuff that doesn't undermine any values, which I'm afraid it's not going to happen anytime soon. Until that point, we have to be very careful of how we're using AI.
So Hamid will take the last question. You emphasized maintaining focus on a beauty balance and the human-centric design. What do you fear might be lost if architects over-rely on AI?
I'm feared of losing our identity. I'm feared of losing our principles of design. I'm feared of losing our contextual aspects, that we could see the same type of building all over around the globe. I'm feared of just not seeing the risks of using AI and just using it blindly. Yes, even in our workshops, we always say, yes, these are just the tools at the end of the day, you're the designer, you're the architect. Don't just fully 100% rely on it. And you have to do that touch for yourself. Like you have to evaluate what are the needs of your client, the community that wants that design from you, and then implement accordingly. Don't go blindly. That's my biggest afraid fear.
Yes. Hamid, thank you again for being with us tonight and this amazing lecture. And thank you again for discount for everyone who attended this talk. It's the chat if everyone is interested, and looking forward to have you in the WhatsApp with us to share more updates and news about the field. Thank you again.
Yeah, of course, of course.
So our
Great.
next, yeah, thank you. So our next talk will be on 4th of October. It will be with
Matthias Del Campo.
Yes, about
Amazing.
designing with the aid of AI, and explore how AI challenges architectural authorship, aesthetics, and agency in the context of post-human design thinking. See you, everyone. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Goodbye. Thanks,
Thank you, Hamid.
everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.